back to Tailor Tales. We're here. Chapter 6 of Grey Route. Getting ready for Sarah to kick my ass. With a click of my tongue, I point a finger down the street and narrow my brown eyes at the man in front of me. For the last time, you need to go around to the back entrance. I'm trying to run a business here. The man grumbles as he turns away, and I sigh in exasperation. This has been happening all afternoon. I just can't catch a break. When I turn back to my customers, a woman and her teenage daughter who had just walked in off the street, I attempt to plaster on one apologetic smile. I'm so sorry for the interruption. I say, smoothly pacing over to where they're browsing their rack of formal dresses. Where were we? Would like to have a dress specifically made for my Claire. The Academy Ball is 3 months away, the woman says, placing a hand on her daughter's shoulder. Claire ignores her mother completely, instead devoting her attention to the cell phone she's holding in front of her nose. Claire Academy. I used to be a student there. The Academy Ball is the highlight of the year, I say, fondly remembering the event. And it's the truth. The Academy Ball is a dream. The main hall is lavishly decorated and the chosen theme for the year. Only the most well-known DJs are hired for the event, and all the students will be desperate for the latest fashion in ball gowns and tuxedos, no expense spared. It will be an amazing opportunity for me to bring in new business to the boutique, and one I should take full advantage of. Though you know we need something unique, but styling the latest trends, the woman continues while Claire taps away on her phone. And I'd be happy to pass your business details on to our friends, so we like what you produce. I nod, understanding her meaning perfectly. I'll need to be at the top of my game if I tend to snag the kind of clientele this particular event can bring me. We can start by looking at some different styles and fabrics, then I can drop a couple designs in based on what you like. Claire finally looks up from her screen and I smile at her, earning an interested tilt of the head in return. After that, all I need to do is take your measurements and put it all together. It'll be finished long before the ball comes around. It sounds wonderful, Claire's mother says, her fingers steepled in satisfaction. When can we start? Now if you like, I have some fabric samples over here if you'll follow me. I start to walk over to the rack, holding my formal fabric, stopping only when the click of heels doesn't echo from behind me, and I realize I'm not being followed. Oh, you know what? I think we'll come back later, Claire's mother says hurriedly, ushering her daughter in the direction of the door. I just remembered that we have an appointment we can't miss. Oh, I can pencil you in for another... A pair of them hurry past me and exit the shop. When with my brows dipped in confusion, I turned to find what had spooked my customers. Two men, large and burly with beards all the way down to their chests, have stepped into the store looking around in confusion. I don't believe this! Annoyance washes over me in a wave and I storm over to the pair, hands on my hips, and I stare them down. If you're looking for the basement, you need to go around to the back of the building. I must have said this with more attitude than I meant, because the men looked taken aback, one of them holding his hands up in front of him apologetically. Excuse us, miss. Didn't mean to disturb you. I blink dumbly as they exit the boutique, the bell ringing above the door as they leave. Wow, I didn't expect them to leave as easily as that. Most of the men who had come in here had seemed confused, but were harmless nonetheless. One of the two had gotten mouthy with me, but had swiftly found themselves directed to the exit. The one thing they all have in common, however, is that they're scaring away my business, and I'm not going to tolerate it any further. I circle around the counter and pick up my phone from beneath it, tapping a finger on the screen, scrolling through the contacts. I find Gray's name easily enough, a recent addition to my phone book, and hit the icon to dial his number. Holding the phone to my ear, it starts ringing, though when a familiar voice rings out from the back of the store, I end the call and pause. He's here. I hurry over to the back entrance of the boutique and pull open the door, find the culprit in question and a couple other guys chatting near the back of the building. Back door of the boutique, sorry. Gray, beat you up. You're ruining my business. The three of them turn around at the sound of my arrival, and Gray grins at me when he turns completely oblivious to my annoyance. Oh, he's so cute when he says my name, though. How are you today? I need to speak with you, I say, ignoring his question. Okay? Gray blinks at me a couple of times as if he can't possibly fathom what I have to be angry about. Then he turns to his acquaintance, giving the closest one a pat on the shoulder. Tell them I'll be down in the field. Don't start without me. Aye, aye, boss. I crook an eyebrow at that. Boss. So, what can I do for you? Gray paces over, this look on his face so smug it sends a fresh wave of fury rolling through me. You can start by telling your friends not to come into the store. They're scaring away my customers. His eyes widen, taking aback my sudden explosion of anger. Oh, he rubs the back of his neck anxiously. I did ask them to use the back door, but some of them aren't too good with instructions. Tiny brains, you know. I huff a breath, ignoring the smirk that tilts his lips and only fuels me further. I was in the middle of styling a customer for the Academy Ball when your oafish friends walked in and scared them away. Do you have any idea what this could cost me? It's completely... The Academy Ball? He snorts, cutting my rant short. You mean the unnecessary pompous show of wealth the Academy puts on every year? It's a prestigious event, actually, and an important tradition. Cleaner Academy knows nothing of tradition. His eyes turn fierce, a coldness creeping over his face. The students are a bunch of spoiled rich kids who have never had to lift a finger in their lives. They always have been and always will be. My breath escapes in a shaky exhale. I don't dare tell him that it was my school. The boutique needs the business, I explained, ignoring his jabs. The parents of the students have a lot of money, yes, but they also have influence. It's a good way for me to get my work out there. I didn't think of it that way, he admits, pulling his bottom lip between his teeth as he thinks it over. When he fixes me with those stormy gray eyes again, they're softer than they were before. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. I nod, my breath steadying and my gaze dropping as the anger slowly begins to ebb. Hey, he steps forward and consoles me with a hand on my arm, squeezing gently. I'm sorry, okay? I never meant to make things difficult for you. You're so cute. Our eyes lock and I believe him, and then a swift pang of guilt hits me as I remember how difficult I made things for him. Just make sure your buddies remember this time, I say with a tired sigh, or I'll hold you personally responsible for any loss of business. Oh? Gray's eyes light up at once, his interest peaked. And how do you intend to punish me? Listen, Gray. His eyes glint with mischief and a disbelieving sound escapes me before I can stop. I'm really not in the mood for this. I'm sorry. He holds up his hands and laughs softly, quite obviously not sorry in the least. I'll keep them in line. You had better might reconsider this offer. He cocks his head at that, squinting at me in thought. You kick out a friend just like that. You'd have to earn my trust first to be one. Oh, but I already have. You did see me practically naked after all. It takes quite a bit of trust to get to that point. He leans back against the wall, looking much too pleased with himself. I cross my arms over my chest. Gray looks me over, a hidden grin playing on his lips. It's unnerving. Why are you looking at me like that? He attempts to smother his grin with a hand, but fails miserably, continuing to stare at me as if I were a shiny new toy. No reason. I raise an eyebrow at him, suspicious, though a voice from outside grabs my attention before I can say anything else. Is it Sarah? Huh? What do you mean I can't come in? This is my best friend's place, you walking tree. I glance past Gray to see Sarah staring down a tall man just outside the back door, fire in her eyes. Pushing my way through, I head towards the exit, preparing to step in before Sarah gets herself crushed. Oh, it's Jed. Yo, y'all are still friends? Yo, he's charming. This is a private gathering, and I've never seen you here before, the man says to her, and I want to face palm myself in his stead. I would have remembered if I had. What is that supposed to mean? Just that you're very pretty, the man starts. Sarah looks anything but flattered at the compliment. The man quickly turns flustered. No, wait, I didn't mean to be disrespectful. Shit, I'm sorry. Jed, it's okay, mate. You can let her in. Gray steps in, amusement practically dripping from his voice when he leans in and whispers to his friend. Sarah looks less than pleased to see the Phantom again, and in the flesh after all these years. Her lips practically disappear into a disapproving narrow line. She turns her gaze away from Gray and shoves her way past the two conversing men. You're hopeless, you know that? What is this? He asks in his aspiration as I push between them, gesturing wildly at the stranger. Who is he? My name is Jed. Tall man introduces himself. That's when I finally recognize him. Back in school, he had come to the academy to look for me, and my gang had beat him to a bloody pulp because of it. The last time we met, we didn't end on very friendly terms either. Luckily, it doesn't seem like he's paying much mind to me. He's my best mate, Grace says, drawing my attention. He makes sure no suspicious folk come wandering in here, trying to join our game. Aww, even after all these years, they're like buddies. That's so loyal. Sarah, do you remember him? I have half of a mind to tell him all of them are suspicious, but I stopped myself. I thought you said you were playing board games. We are. So are you telling me you need a bodyguard for a board game night? Yep. Sarah scoffs, rolling her silver eyes at the pair of them. What a load of... Well, I've taken up enough of your time. Gray interrupts with a clap of his hands, grabbing Jet by the arm. Come on, Jet. Let's get down there before they riot. I watch him leave in silence. What just happened? Sarah turns to me, her eyes wide in disbelief. I have no idea. I rub my temples, desperate for some peace and quiet after that encounter. Why were you using the back door anyway? I thought it might be better than coming into the store while you're open. Though I never expected to be met by a 7-foot mountain man guarding the place, she says with a scowl. Chuckling, I agree with her. Joe was quite the built man. I'm just about to close the store. Are you hungry? Starving. She grins at the prospect of eating food, and I'm not surprised in the least. I'll waver towards the stairs to my apartment while I head back to the boutique. I'll meet you upstairs in a few. An hour later, Sarah and I are sitting on my sofa, 2 large glasses of wine on the coffee table in front of us as we dig into the pasta alfredo I just whipped together. There's a show on TV, some trashy reality show about a group of singles left alone on a super yacht, and we leave it playing in the background while we chat. So, any other dates coming up? I asked Sarah, who makes a face at me as she chews. No, but I found this new app that matches you up with someone based on your computer browser history. It sounds promising. What? I stare at her, unsure if that was a joke or not. When she says nothing else, I realize she's completely serious. So you'll be matched with someone who enjoys gluten-free baking and funny videos of dogs then. She gives me a withering glare and I laugh, knowing I'm totally right. Why don't you just, I don't know, meet someone the old-fashioned way? Right, because that's worked so well for me in the past, she says, sarcastically, taking another bite of pasta. Or just sign up for a reality television show. They look like they're having fun. I point at TV and Sarah snorts, dismissing the idea. And she stops suddenly and grabs the remote, turning down the volume, tilting her head to the side. Do you hear that? I pause and listen. I don't hear anything. I think it came from the basement. It was kind of like a... Never mind. She shrugs and turns the volume back to normal, resuming the show, and I continue eating. I still can't believe you let the Phantom rent out your basement, she says with a disbelieving laugh. I never knew you had a death wish. I don't. I feel sorry for him, that's all. Or felt sorry for him. Why? I hesitate a second before putting my half-empty plate down on the coffee table and turning to Sarah, preparing myself to come clean with her. There's something I never told you. Oh god, I'm scared. She raises an eyebrow and I swallow thickly around the nervous lip in my throat. Back in high school, the night of the challenge, I didn't get pulled aside by the cops like I said I did. Okay. The truth is that I bailed. I explained everything to Sarah, how I had helped Gray the first night we met, how I had to try to cover it up a dozen times after that, knowing the gang would bring bloody hell down on me if they found out, and how I called the cops, got Gray arrested and kicked out of school. That was the reason I agreed to rent my basement to him, to make amends in whatever small way I could. When I finish speaking, Sarah stares at me wide-eyed. Please say something, I say quietly, folding under the weight of her stare. I can't believe you didn't tell me any of this. I hesitate for a moment, knowing that I should have come clean with her a long time ago. I was afraid of what would happen if the gang found out. You know, they wouldn't have taken it well. I cringe at this half-truth, knowing I was scared of losing Sarah most of all. I'm unsure if I should reveal how much I had doubted our bond. I guess afterwards it didn't matter much because I left them anyway. Screw the gang, she fires back, her temper rising. I would have had your back, Michiko. What about your family's back? I knew what the rumors were. Sarah looked inclined to argue, but for once she holds her tongue. I didn't want to put you in a difficult position, but I can't pass up this chance to make things right. What's done is done. I hope you can forgive me. My phone beeps, interrupting the conversation. I glance at the email and notification icon. When I open the app on my phone, I immediately notice the sender and my face falls. That's weird. I'm able to tap on the screen to open the message. What is it? An email from Nikki. What? Sarah gives me a disbelieving look, pulling her legs up under her as she turns to me. I thought you two weren't friends anymore. We're not. I mean, I haven't spoken to him since graduation. What does it say? I scan the email briefly before clearing my throat and relaying it to her. Dear Michiko, I know it's been a long time since we last spoke. I'm sorry we never kept in touch. I know you didn't want anything to do with the old gang once school was over, but I wish I had tried harder. I'm a teacher at the academy now. How weird is that? I heard you got into the fashion business. My students are putting on a play next month, and I wonder if you might be willing to help us out with the costumes. Let me know if you're interested, and we can work out a time to talk. It'll be great to hear from you after all this time, Aroma. Nikki. How'd he get my info? Maybe because he heard I opened a boutique. Silence stretches between us, only the sounds of the TV in this background cutting through the quiet. Eventually, Sarah lets out a long breath. Wow. Yeah. What are you going to do? I think for a moment, still reeling from the sudden blast from the past before I speak. I don't know. I felt like something was happening between Nikki and I, to be honest. Maybe. I don't know. On one hand, it could be a good opportunity to show off my designs. When I trail off, Sarah nudges me with her salt-cladded toe. But I let out a heavy sigh, weighing up my options. But I don't want to get dragged back into my old life again. Not now that I have the boutique and responsibilities. And Gray, you're going to tell him who you are, aren't you? She questions. I don't know. Would it be terrible if I didn't? She gives me a disbelieving look as if I'd ask if she thought I should have my feet and hands switched. Yeah, after what happened to him, don't you think the least you can do is offer him an explanation? Actually, I think it would be kinder of me not to bring up old wounds. I say as a joke, but the look of guilt on my face gives me away in an instant. I can't do it, Sarah. I know I have to tell him someday, but it isn't today. Sarah sighs, and I know she doesn't agree with me, but that it's not her decision to make. Yo, this is intense. Imagine like you guys date and you're like, hey, just to let you know, I was that person that locked you up in jail. If I was Gray, I would be heartbroken. Oh. So heartbroken. It's your choice, Michiko. All I'm saying is that one day, something might happen that's out of your control. I mean, think about the... Sarah stops again and presses the mute button on the remote, her head cocked to the side. You seriously don't hear that? I shrug, shaking my head. I have no idea what she's talking about. What does it sound like? Like banging and groaning? She says in confusion. Are you sure you're just not hearing things? She pokes her tongue out at me, but then raises an eyebrow. Gray said they were using the basement for board games, right? What else? But what if that's just a cover? What if they're doing something else? It's not like the thought hasn't crossed my mind. Board games might just be a euphemism for something else. Who knows? Seeing all those sketchy and muscular figures entering the basement doesn't dispel the fact. Gray had a reputation for trouble back in the day, so it's plausible that he may be up to something. And he did want to rent out the basement pretty bad. What do you know about Gray? She asks. Absolutely nothing, I reply. She gives me this look like she's formulating something in her mind. Can't enter the basement, huh? Nope, he's got the keys. It's his domain. She starts to chew up on her nails, deep in thought. So if you got the phantom in your basement doing who knows what, I got that right? I nod sheepishly. What if we follow him? Sarah suggests. Huh? I explain. You want to follow him around? You want to straight up stalk him? Oh, come on. He's the one doing shady stuff in the basement. I want to make sure he's not doing anything illegal, you know? Make sure your boutique is off the hook. Sarah has got a point. I am a bit apprehensive, though. It feels like I'm going back to my roots, where I'd wait up for some Riversider at the end of the school day. I do have his address on the contract he signed for renting the basement. Wait until at least tomorrow and trail him. She nods, a smile pulling at the corner of her mouth. I should have known the idea would be right up her alley. I like the way you think. I don't. The next morning, Sarah and I linger behind a couple of trees near Gray's address, waiting for him to make an appearance. I adjust the oversized sunglasses that sit on my nose, hoping my disguise would work in case they'd notice us. With a sigh, I return to tapping away on my phone while we wait. I've just crushed another level in Candy Crush, when a familiar voice gets my attention and Gray finally emerges from his house. Crap, the other guy's with him, Sarah points out, and I immediately notice Jed's hulking form. They seem to be having a casual conversation. I hope they won't be returning to the basement on a weekend. Otherwise, this whole trailing plan will fall apart. Luckily, they start walking into the opposite direction of Roma's. Keeping a healthy distance, we follow the pair as they head down the street. Why are we trailing him again? It starts off like any normal day shopping in the city, I suppose. They stop to get coffee, call into the pharmacy, grab a bite to eat. Sarah and I sit at a cafe across the street, sipping on a couple of smoothies and impatiently waiting for them to finish their food and move on. We've conveniently placed a couple of menus to hide our faces, and eventually I grow tired of peeking over the top of them. Time drags on, and I'm just about to suggest we give up when Sarah nudges me to get my attention. Look! I follow her pointed finger and my eyes went away. I noticed the shop that Gray and Jed have just walked into. I let out a groan. It's a sex shop. Sex dungeon, she exclaims confidently, making my eyes bulge out. You think so? Well, let's follow them and find out. Sarah grabs me by the arm excitedly and I'm forced to follow along. Oh god, do I have to blur anything? I'm hesitant to enter the shop, but I know it's our best chance of finding what Gray and his friends have been up to in my basement. I think this is tameable. I don't think I need to hide this. When we enter the shop, we hide down an empty aisle, peeking around the sides to catch a glimpse of the guys. We find them eventually, Jed flicking through a few magazines on a rack and Gray in the aisle next to ours. They've split up, Sarah whispers. You keep an eye on Jed, I'll follow Gray, I instruct, earning a nod before she slinks off. Not sink. I turn and walk casually to the end of the aisle, trying to be quiet, but not obvious. Brightly colored packages line the shelves on either side of me, and once or twice I do a double take, baffled by some of the items the shop offers. I'm especially surprised when I peek down the aisle that Gray is curling in. Whips, gags, handcuffs. Oh god, is he into these kinds of fetishes? Oh wait, he's into kinks. I forgot. Gray has something in his hands and I lean around further to try and get a better look. Oh, fucking hell, man. And knock over... What did I knock over? An entire— oh, fucking hell. An entire rack of sex toys. I can feel my stomach filled with anxiety as I watch the boxes clatter onto the floor. And I'm wearing oddly large glasses, right? Sunglasses. This just makes me look hella suspicious. With a stifled yelp, I sprint away from the scene, not staying to see if Gray had noticed anything. Slipping down the aisle, I leaned back against the shelf and let out a deep breath of relief. That poor clerk. I seemed to have made it away undetected. After catching my breath, I risked a peek around the corner, seeing the various toys scattered over the floor, but no sign of Gray. That was embarrassing, but I also feel guilty knocking over some products and not staying behind to pick them up. Hello, Michiko. Clutching my chest, I turn to find Gray standing next to me. My heart hammers in my ear like a drum. What are you doing here? He asked me in this neutral tone. He gives me a suspicious look, and on instinct, I grab the item closest to me, holding it up and saying boldly, I'm shopping. Can a grown woman shop for sex toys in peace? Gray snickers, his eyes landing on whatever I'm currently holding in my hand. I look down, realizing to my mortification that I picked up an enormous neon pink dildo. You know, I think they have bigger ones in the back. My face flushes red, my cheeks flaming hot as I quickly put the item back on the shelf, knocking over a few others in the process. Girl! Or shop! Why is your stuff followable? Like a fool, I scramble to keep them upright before a domino effect knocks them all off. Oh, I'm glad you find this very amusing, Gray. Gray laughs even harder, amused by my reaction. Not knowing what else to do, I walk away from the aisle. Dude, you're ruining a clerk's day, girl. Just don't touch anything. Gray's laughter dies down as he catches up to me, giving me a much sterner look. What are you really doing here? Fine, I give up. I was following you. I expect Gray to be mad or maybe even amused, but instead he lets out a dramatic sigh and leans against one of the shelves. I see what's happening here, he says slowly, his eyes trailing the floor. You do? Yep, I really don't know how I never noticed it before now. Besides, again, on my stomach drops. I say nothing, too afraid of giving myself away. When he takes a step towards me, I suck in a breath. It's obvious, isn't it? You've fallen for me. I can hear a pin drop in the background as my temper blinks out. He thinks I what now? Excuse me? It's alright, Michiko. I mean, you have good taste after all. My eyes widen in horror as he shrugs and gives me a tight smile. I start awkwardly, trying to reject the notion I've been following him because I'm secretly in love with him. I'm not the kind of stalker, I'm a different one. You're a different one? Okay, even in my head that sounds bad. A bark of laughter bursts from him, and I realize at once that he's only teasing me. I fold my arms over my chest and pout unimpressed. It's not funny, I grumble. Well, it's certainly amusing for me, alright, he says with a low chuckle. Now, if my devilishly good looks and charming personality haven't won you over, then why were the two of you following me? I rack my brain, trying to come up with an acceptable excuse. I can't just openly come out and say that Sarah and I were worried he was lying about how he was using the basement. We were just trying to find out more about you. You spent a lot of time in the basement after all. I mean, I'm not lying completely. His face softens a little as he lets out a breath, nodding as though that makes sense. If you want to know something, all you have to do is ask. I pause for a moment, thinking about it. It can't be that easy, can it? Alright, I'll ask. Why did you come into this store? He gives me a sly grin, shoving his hand in his pockets. Because I knew the two of you were following us. You're not exactly subtle, you know. My eyes widened slightly. He noticed this all along. Was he just making us go out on a wild goose chase? I didn't think you were brave enough to follow us in here, he finishes. I make a face, wondering if he's telling the truth or it's just another cover. Sarah's words running around a sex dungeon rings through my mind. Well, we weren't going to let a sex shop stop us. He breathes out a short chuckle, and I can almost see the cogs in his head working to come up with a comeback. But then he just looks at me, that boyish crooked grin tilting the sides of his lips. Well, if he entered the store, it would be a shame to walk out of here empty-handed, though, wouldn't it? Gray scans a nearby shelf, plucking a rectangular box from one and handing it to me. Here, I recommend this one. Have fun. You look like you need it. Excuse me? He saunters off before I've even looked at the box, but then when I finally do, I realize he's handed me a purple vibrator and my eyes widen at his nerve. Gray! I storm down the aisle just in time to see him following Jed out from the front door. My face must look beat red, but he throws me a wink from over his shoulder and exits the store, his laughter echoing behind him. I'm so embarrassed. As you should be. As you should be, because... That was a good one, Gray. But isn't he kinky? I'm pretty sure he is. Where is he? Oh shit, I can't learn about him? I thought I could. Can I not? I can't recall. I can't recall how I oh, it was in the very, never mind, I remember now. In the very beginning, they asked if we wanted to know spoilers about him. I'm pretty sure he's kinky. I can't remember. Anyway, thank you guys for watching today's episode. Stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.